Hello, it's Miss O, and I'm going to be going over some word blunders with you, which are basically just some pet peeves that professionals of English, such as myself, usually come across in their line of work. And so hopefully with this video and some of these different tips, this will help you to sidestep some common errors that people make when writing for school as well as writing for work. So the first thing I want to do is talk about this term homophones, because somewhere in this country I think we went off the deep end and we don't really understand exactly what homophones are. We think we know what they are because of the way that the word sounds, which is kind of ironic because that's sort of what homophones gets at anyway. But homophones are words that sound alike but are spelled differently and have different meanings. So some of the terms that you're going to see me talk about in just a minute are words that sound the same, but when you see them written out, they're spelled completely differently and they have different meanings. And homophones are definitely not interchangeable. So just because you have figured out a way to spell one form of a word, that does not mean that you get to then substitute that one form of that word in every single instance that you use. You have to use it in the right context. Also, homophones have nothing to do with sex. Nothing at all. This is just language and English, but nice try. Okay, to, and to. To, T-O. This is a preposition which shows movement or direction towards something. So example, I went to the mall. T-O-O, this is an adverb. This means in addition to, also, or as well. Example, I like cheeseburgers too. So I'm also liking cheeseburgers in that example. And then TWO is the number. This is the spelled out version of the digit 2. There, and there. This one really bothers me. Okay, THERE is an adverb referring to location. Example, we visited there while on vacation. There, THEIR, is a possessive pronoun. This shows possession in third person plural, so something that belongs to someone. In this case, this would be a few someones because this is plural. Example, their friends threw them a farewell party. And then there, THEY''RE, is a contraction for the word they plus the word are. And contractions are word combinations where some of the letters are taken out and there's an apostrophe put in between. And this is our first example of one of those with there. An example that I have here is they're going there with their friends. 3 separate terms are listed here, and their meanings become easy to distinguish when you acknowledge how they're used. Do you see what I did there? I'm using all 3 of those. It's and its. IT''S is another contraction for it is or it has. So I can say it's been raining this morning or it has been raining this morning. Or I can say it's cold outside or it is cold outside. So most people don't realize that IT''S is actually a contraction for 2 separate word combinations. But depending on how you're using it, it could be it is or it has. ITS is a possessive pronoun. This shows ownership in third person singular. So whereas THEIR was third person plural, this is ownership for something that is singular. Examples, the white car has a dent on its right passenger door, and the oak tree loses its leaves during autumn. Now, one really easy way to distinguish between these two is if you're not sure which it's to use, just put in it is or it has and see if the sentence makes sense. So, if I read a sentence like the last example, the oak tree loses it has leaves during autumn. Doesn't really make sense. What if I said, the oak tree loses it is leaves during autumn? Again, doesn't make sense. So right then and there I know I should probably just use ITS without the apostrophe. Your and your. YOUR is a possessive pronoun, which is referring to something that belongs to you. YOU''RE is a contraction for you and are. Example, you're going to meet your mom at the front of the school at 1:15, and you're so kind to lend me your sweater. Affect and effect. Affect with an A. This is a verb meaning to influence or change. So your negative behavior is affecting me. Effect is a noun which is the result of change or influence. Example, her calm demeanor had a positive effect on the rest of us. And usually whenever I'm trying to distinguish between these two, if I get confused, I think about the term special effects. Special effects uses the effect form of this word, so it has the E in it, and special effects are things. So that usually sets me straight if I ever get confused, because one is a thing, another one is an action. One is a noun, one is a verb. Accept and accept. Accept is a verb meaning to take in, tolerate, or respond positively to. Example, I accept your invitation to next Saturday's party. Please accept my apology, and we no longer accept personal checks. Accept. This is a preposition or conjunction depending on use, and this means with the exclusion of or only. So everyone turned in their homework except for Ryan, and all conditions have been met except for these. Let's and let's, and a lot of people actually don't know that there's a difference between these two. They're two separate words. So there's let apostrophe s and lets. The first one is a contraction for let and us. Example, let's go to the mall after school. Lets is a verb meaning to permit or allow. The new city ordinance lets our bar stay open until 2 a.m.